YouTubers, Mike Martins here from the Mike Martins channel. It has come to this. Excellent articles from our best friends over at Better Dwelling. And here it is, folks. Let me zoom that out a bit. There it is. That's what you need per hour to have a one bedroom in this area here. That one there is 25. So basically they broke it down. One bedroom, 25 to 27 an hour. 23. 26, 27. Let me zoom it out just a bit to get to up here. Yeah, there we go. 27, 24, 23, 17 bucks an hour way out here. So, lower mainland here. Looks like it's Surrey area there. Langley. Sorry guys, Langley, 23 bucks. So, that should be the Cloverdale there. 22 bucks. So getting out of the city and going to secondary and third cities, it does not work. There it is per hour, giving you the colors and highlighting it from Better Dwelling. Better Dwelling is the best. I've been reading their articles for years. Why? Because they actually put their finger on the pulse to find out what is going on. Half of Greater Vancouver can afford a one-bedroom rental. Vancouver real estate is a hella expensive, but it's become ridiculous in recent years. Woo! Canada Centre for Policy Alternatives crunched the numbers to find the wage needed to rent in Greater Vancouver. Breaking down the numbers further, we see now unsustainable the region has become. The average one bedroom is now unaffordable for half of its people. July 19, 2019. Vancouver real estate is hella expensive, but it's become ridiculous in the recent years. Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives crunched the numbers to find out that the wage needed to rent in Greater Vancouver is breaking down the numbers further. We see how unsustainable the region has become. The average one bedroom is now unaffordable to half the city. Woo! That's if we include distant suburbs, and it's even worse if we don't. Oh my God, you know, because it brings down the benchmark starts to change across the board once the further away you get from the major cities. But when you get even to the smaller towns that you would think are other cities outside of the major capital city, or not capital city, but the biggest city in the province, you would think it'd get better the further away you go. It doesn't, guys. I'm 2.5 hours away from Vancouver. I moved out here. I picked up a house for next to nothing, a giant house with a ginormous backyard, and my kids have a trampoline to play on. Housing affordability. Just because you can't make the payments and not gonna go into arrears doesn't mean your housing is affordable. The term affordable is thrown around a lot. Like there's an actual definition used by the government for housing to be affordable. Shelter expenses need to represent less than 30% of your gross. 30%, I've been saying this, of your gross, aka pre-tax income. Shelter expenses include, but are not limited to rent, mortgage payments, utilities, taxes. This is the definition used by CCPA to determine affordable. Right? In the U.S., I think it's 30% of the average income too. And I know that Portland, Oregon, Portland itself, once it reached 37% of the average wage in the area of the Oregon area, Salem, Oregon, all that area there, people were going east to Nevada, Salt Lake City, Utah, Texas, and people just move. In Canada, it's kind of hard because it's very tough for us because we don't have. Texas has more major cities than we do in all of Canada, right? Texas has more infrastructure than we do in all of Canada, right? We got one highway connecting east to west, and most of it is one lane up, one lane down. So, yeah, so it's tough for Canadians to kind of move around in their own country and find opportunities, right? If they're not snatched up already. Living in an unaffordable situation isn't necessarily defined as poverty either. In Canada, the low-income LIM is often used to define poverty. LIM considers the household in poverty if the income is below 50% of the median Canadian household income. Even if you spend all your income on rent, taxes, transport, and not enough food, you're not in poverty, even if the restrictive measure is over 4.9 million Canadians that fit this definition. That's about 1 in 7 people basically not being able to put food on the table after expenses is not poverty but by any measures. So they're trying to state is that it's not poverty by any measures. That if you can't put food on the table, hey, but you're paying your way to get ahead. You're paying the gas company gets the money, the electricity gets the money, the car insurance gets the money, the banks get the money, everybody gets the money. But what? Your stomach doesn't get fed? The average one-bedroom requires an income of over $26 an hour. So this is the average one-bedroom, okay? Renting an average one-bedroom in Greater Vancouver requires a big paycheck to afford an average one-bedroom. An individual has to make $26.72 per hour, according to the CCPA study. That works out to about $55,600 per year, rounded to the nearest 100. The number includes all of Greater Vancouver, not just the city. That's important because it means that the number is lowered by suburban rental prices. Make less than $20 an hour or $41,600 per year, then there's only 6 neighborhoods you could possibly afford in Greater Vancouver area. North Delta is the most affordable, requiring a wage of $17.85 per hour for the average one bedroom. Maple Ridge follows with a wage of $17.93 per hour to afford the average one bedroom. Newton comes in third with $18.01 per hour. To find a place in the city of Vancouver, we need to jump to lucky number 6. Marpool, reminder, Marpool's is less. Marpool South requires a wage of $19.25 to afford the average one bedroom. That's a minimum income of $37,200 per year to afford the average one bedroom. In Greater Vancouver, in the city of Vancouver, you need a minimum income of $40,100 per year to afford an average one bedroom. Fun point to consider. The most expensive neighborhoods are amongst the most dense. Downtown North is one of the most expensive neighborhoods, requiring an average wage of $38.66 per hour to afford an average one bedroom. North Falls Creek follows with a wage of $38.12 per hour. That's where the Olympic Village is, in Falls Creek there, to afford a rental. South Falls Creek is just behind, that needed an average of wage of $37.33 an hour. The minimum income to buy into these neighborhoods works out to $77,700 per year. Over half of Greater Vancouver can't afford a one-bedroom rental. Bachelor pad? Hardly. The majority of Greater Vancouver can't afford to rent an average one-bedroom today. The median income for individuals in Greater Vancouver was just $35,700 in 2017. The last data point, if we assume a generous 5% compound annual growth to this median, we get $39,360. The generous, very generous growth will still only work out to $19.68 per hour. We kind of covered that up there. This is a whopping 26 below the income needed for the average one bedroom. So guys, we're talking about a one bedroom too. And we're not talking about in those, you're looking at 26 to 36 an hour to get into one of those nice condos, right? Remember, a lot of the people took these as investments that are renting them out, okay? Not foreign investors. A lot of foreign investors just leave them all empty. They don't even want to bother with it. But I'm talking about the Canadian investor that actually went out, saved up, put a down payment on a condo, and now they don't want to run in a negative position, which a lot of people are renting out negative positions to see if the market bounces back, which is going to be it's not going to be bouncing back for the next 3 to 5 years. It's going to be a problem, guys. And a lot of people are in these negative positions. Not good at all. I think Better Dwelling, if it's okay, you guys could do an article about discussing how many folks are in negative position right now, if we could get the data available, if there is any data available, or making some sort of condo owners that bought in the last 4 years, kind of a survey, and find out if who's in a negative position. Better Dwelling should do that, and do maybe 1,000 people to survey. Better Dwelling should have a little section here to do our surveys. So Better Dwelling, if you can, you see right here, do a little section, do our surveys, and then create a few surveys for people to fill out and put their postal code in, and so you can get a kind of an understanding of where people sit, especially that read your articles. The gap between income and rent in Greater Vancouver seems to be getting wider every day. Younger GVR buyers are already behind previous generations for wealth building. That is, they're buying a home later, contributing to retirement plans later, and so on. And don't forget getting married, laying roots, and all the important things to keep our population growth sustainable. Oh, don't worry, we'll just bring in a bunch of people. Don't worry. As rent continues to raise faster than incomes, this has set them further behind. The growing gap consumes a greater percent of their wages, which comes out of consumption and diversifying investments, both important factors that drive the local economy. Right. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I want to thank my Patreon supporters today for buying me this Tim Hortons coffee. Thank you so much. Guys, if you like my stuff, following me, go ahead and support me on Patreon and buy me a coffee. $1 a month gets me a coffee. Go ahead, support it. I'm pretty much shut off with my monetization's been shut off. They're still running commercials, but I ain't getting anything from it. So the commercials are going to, I wonder where it's going. It's probably going to some maybe some food. I would like if that went somewhere, like instead of YouTube keeping the money, instead of it going to creators, and instead of YouTube having the money, I wish that the money they're making off my videos would go to some food shelter or some shelter for battered women or children's society or something. I would like that, if I'm not going to get anything for what I'm doing. Anyways, guys, look forward to reading your comments. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching.